Welcome back to the Mastermynd Beauty podcast, where we talk about all things business and mindset in the beauty industry. Today, we are back on the podcast with some questions. And of course, I have Mark behind the scenes to fire them at me.
Yeah, so a lot of questions have come up, both with the stylist and salon owners that we are coaching, some even on the podcast and some online. So we wanted to address these. A lot of these are kind of hidden in the industry, some of the stuff that people aren't really talking about. And we're here in a professional manner to take those questions on. So Alison, let's get into it.
Let's do it.
All right, so the first question is, what is your favorite part of being a commission salon owner?
My favorite part about being in the commission salon part of this industry is really taking stylists out of beauty school and kind of paving the way for them. So teaching them how to build that beautiful career, how to set goals, how to chase those goals, and really develop the customer service part of, doing hair, but also the more technical skills, the haircuts, the coloring, things like that. My other favorite part about having a commission salon is having control over the culture and in the environment of, your team and how people act in your salon and the experience that the clients get when they come into your salon. So really having full control over the space is probably the reason, the biggest reason why we've chosen to go the commission salon route rather than booth rental. So yeah, those are kind of like my favorite things about being in a commission salon environment and growing a commission stylist team.
What is your least favorite part of being a commission salon owner?
So unfortunately, we're dealing with a generation now that doesn't know how to leave on good terms. So I know this is something that we are dealing with in our salon, and I know working with other salon owners are dealing with this as well. It's something that, no one wants to talk about because salon owners want to remain professional and kind of like suppress these things that are going on in the industry and just kind of move forward. But I think it's really important to talk about this because it's happening and people just really don't know how to leave on good terms anymore. And it's sucking the joy out of it for commission salon owners. Our industry needs commission salons. It needs commission salons to take people out of beauty school and be able to afford to pay them an hourly rate when they're not meeting commission, and then be able to transition them into, commission pay. And sometimes those people don't want to be on commission anymore and they want to go independent or they want to get a suite, things like that. And that's beautiful. That's part of the industry. That's part of the career of being a hairstylist. You can go so many different routes with it. But commission salon owners are sick of being treated like shit when people decide to leave. And it's like I said, it's sucking the joy out of it for commission salon owners.
Yeah, we're seeing that a lot these days. And that's the thing is like, it's not even really a business thing. It's a life thing. It's like, I hear all the time, hard conversations, easy life, easy conversations, hard life. So actually, none of us like having those conversations and saying like, hey, I'm leaving, because you don't want to let that person down. But within the beauty industry, like the culture of the beauty industry and the vibe across the board is like, we are part of it. So all of the stylists are part of it. And oftentimes when people are quitting, they're not going to a different state or a different part of town that's way far away from the salon that they're working on. They live around here, so they're right down the street. And it's just so unfortunate that people aren't stepping up and saying, man, I'm so appreciative of you for really helping me build my career. It's time that I want to go and do my own thing. I want to go to a suite, or I'm going to a different salon, or I'm renting a chair somewhere else. But I just want to thank you so much for helping me grow in this industry. I really love my time here, and then separate on great terms. That is the hugest thing I think that the within the culture of the beauty industry that we really need to focus on, because now you've created all this animosity. Now you're having to like go and like fix things and call clients and explain what happened or sweep it under the rug and act like nothing happened. Like people don't know really how to handle this type of thing, and it could all be avoided and everybody can wish everyone well if you just have the hard conversation. But people are avoiding that. And it's really, really unfortunate.
Yeah. And I think it goes back to, we're on our phones so much as people now, right? And If you're over 30, you grew up at a time where, cell phones were not the only way of communicating and texting wasn't the main way of communicating. And so I believe that if you're over 30, you probably have a better chance at being able to have these hard conversations. And we see this everywhere in life, right? I see this with my kids. They have an easier time texting me something that they would have a harder time saying out loud. And so we're dealing with an industry that is in their phone a lot, right? They're just like this, and they don't know how to have hard conversations like you do if you were alive and communicating at a time before cell phones. And I think it's really impacted our industry in a really negative way because we have these people who just are not used to having face-to-face hard conversations. And that's not, I say that with love. I don't say that in a negative, mean way. It's not their fault that they didn't grow up without cell phones, but I think that we need to do a better job at communicating no matter, how we were raised. If you were given a cell phone at 11, 12, 13 years old and you're used to communicating through a cell phone, you need to do a better job at having hard conversations in person. Like you need to take that as your problem and your problem to solve so that people can get more respect from you and not get these hateful text messages or like just communicating poorly. And I think that's our job as humans is to communicate better in person.
And if you're not having these hard conversations at work and you're either quiet quitting or you do a walkout or whatever the case may be, because you're avoiding that tough conversation that really is the cure, right? How are you handling conversations in your real life? Are you avoiding other things? So there's so many great things about this up and coming generation. So they're so wise and connected because of the internet and so much more informed. And so I think there's amazing things within this new generation that's up and coming. However, it's our job to point out these flaws. Like my friends that I hold near and dear to me are the ones that point out something that needs to be changed. So some people might hear this and say, I don't owe them anything. I want to do whatever I want to do. It's like, okay, well, that might be your initial thing because you want to get defensive, but let's take a step back. Let's think about this. Do we want to pour gasoline on a fire and instead of just trying to put it out initially? It does affect so many different people, and we're seeing it all over the country. So I really think this is something that we do need to highlight and that people need to analyze and really change to make the beauty industry better, but also to make us better as human beings. Let's jump into the next question. Do you feel suites are taking over from salons and hurting the beauty industry?
I hear this all the time. So many people, every time I teach a class in a suite where there's multiple suite runners that come together for a class, or every time I talk to a salon owner who's going through, whether they've just went through a walkout or people quitting, they always say, like, do you think that suites are taking over? The suites are not the problem. The suites are not the reason that commissioned salon owners want to give up or are sick of having a salon. The suites are not the problem. The people who want to work in a suite or go independent and leave on bad terms and quiet quit or walk out with multiple people or even just walk out by yourself, like those are the people that are hurting the industry. Salon owners know, especially commissioned salon owners know, that when you're building a team, the chances are these people are not going to retire in your business. Like we know that, especially this day and age, we know that we've probably got maybe, hopefully, 5 years with somebody, right? Maybe less, maybe more, but we'll just say 5 years with somebody, right? And so we know that time eventually will come where that stylist, whether they, are moving to a different side of town, so they need to switch their location, or they want to go independent, they want to go rent a chair, they want to get a suite. We know that time will come. Life changes, families grow, and people have to make decisions that will, impact their future. We know that as salon owners. But what we wish, and I know I speak for so many salon owners on this, and I'm just going to say it because a lot of people don't, we just wish that people knew how to leave on good terms. And if you're a salon owner who has people leaving on good terms, and that person has went into a suite and you've been able to maintain that relationship with those people that left, and they have not enjoyed that experience of going independent, and they've came back to your business, consider yourself lucky because this is not the norm. I have talked to some salon owners who have had this happen, and they've said like, yeah, I had a stylist leave on good terms and she didn't like the decision that she made. She did it for a couple of years and she wanted to come back. So we let her come back. That is what we want. We want people to be able to grow in their own way. If it works out, amazing. We're happy for you. We're happy that we're happy that we have been able to be a part of that journey. We want respect and we want to be appreciated for what we did when you were getting to that point. And if it doesn't work out, we would love to see you again because, we had you on our team for a reason. We liked you. So all we want is people to leave on good terms. And the fact that most people are not leaving on good terms, quiet quitting, walkouts, people just leaving on poor terms and just, sending a quick text message that I'm not coming back to work, that is taking all of it out of the salon owner. Like they genuinely cannot deal with that over and over and over again. So if they've been in the business long enough to have had this happen more than once, they're progressively, it's getting worse for them, right? Because they're constantly going, do I still want to do this? Do I still want to do this? The first time that it happened to me and my leadership team, I was like, do I want to keep doing this? And then a couple months later, it was like back on the grind, back with an amazing team. I saw like, okay, cool, we can get through this. People will quit and hopefully leave on good terms. If they don't, oh well. But then when it happens again, right? And someone, there's another few people that walk out on bad terms. You're going like, is this where the industry is going? Like, is this what people do now? And then I've been in it long enough to see those people not even do hair anymore, right? They've went independent. They've left on bad terms. They've sabotaged their relationships with the people that helped them get to where they are. And now it didn't work out and they're not doing hair anymore, or they're doing hair out of their house. And because they can't, go back to the salon that was doing them well. And so I've been in this game long enough to have seen this happen multiple times. I just recently had a situation happen and I'm like, this has got to be talked about. Like, this has to be talked about. If it's happening in my salon that has a beautiful team, amazing friendships made, like just a positive, happy, fun, cool environment, and then like, bam, right? Like something like it happens and you're just like, why? It did not have to be that way, right? And so no, it is not. The suites opening up all over the place and people going independent is not the problem. The people who are going into those suites and not knowing how to have those hard conversations, they are the problem. The people who are leaving it on bad terms, they are the ones that are sabotaging this industry.
Yeah, because we see the suites as a necessary evolution to the beauty industry. Commission-based salons were really solid, and now we're seeing some blended salons. And then the suites, Alison, you say all the time that these people that thrive in suites, they are the future salon owners. So, there's one thing with the internet that kind of tricks people into thinking entrepreneurship is sexy. So some people want to go do their own thing and be their own boss, and some people don't, and some people just want to go try things. But as you evolve as a human, it's totally understandable that you might want to go and try and do your own thing. However, karma is also a real thing. So if you're going down the street and you've just created all this really bad karma because you've just done something and like left on bad terms, how is that watering your new profession, your new location, versus like shaking someone's hand and saying, hey, listen, I really appreciate what you did. I really love working here. Or maybe you didn't love working there. You want to give them some constructive criticism. Talk about it, right? So that it could be the healing journey can begin for both sides as you navigate into this new part of your career. It's a beautiful thing. And a lot of people don't like having these conversations because it is really tough. And I remember when I was younger, I didn't want to have some conversations, or I even avoided them and maybe created some bad karma or bad situations in my past. The way that I talk about it now is I trick myself into loving having these conversations. A lot of times people don't want to have conversations about money. I don't necessarily love having conversations about money either, but I just trick myself into saying, I love having conversations about money. And then I jump in because I know the other person doesn't want to have the hard conversation or talk about money. And now I'm feeling confident within that. So if you're having a hard time having these hard conversations and you don't even want to even think about it, the trick is you trick yourself into having those hard conversations. And on the other side of that, you're going to say, wow, that wasn't even that hard. I wish I would have, where else can I have a hard conversation in my life that I can make things better as well?
Also, if you're serious about growing, right? And that's what it's all about, growing as a professional, growing into this new phase of your life. Hard conversations equal growth. So if that's what it's all about, right? If you're growing as a person and growing as a professional, have the hard conversation and you will see so much growth come from that. And not only that, but when you see each other on the streets, you don't have to like awkwardly avoid each other like you didn't work together and, love each other for 2 to 3 years and support each other. Like you can avoid all that awkwardness, all that animosity, all that toxic behavior and conversations by like literally just having a hard conversation, and then everyone can grow.
Yeah, and Alison, you were just telling me about a few salons that you saw that were closing down that you couldn't believe, and one of which someone had like a huge following, a beautiful salon. You just from the outside looking in, it's like, oh, they must be having just a thriving salon. Everybody wants to stay, but then you're seeing that they're having issues too. So tell me a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so that was just 3 salons this week that I've seen post that they were going to be shutting their doors, and one of them has 200,000 followers on Instagram. Right? He's a brand ambassador for a couple of really amazing brands, huge influencer on social media, creates amazing content, beautiful salon. You can tell he has an amazing team, right? And so I reached out to him and I said, I saw your post that you're shutting down and I just wanted to reach out, and I shared some personal stuff with him about what my salons have been through. And he replied and he said, to be honest with you, I had a 6-person walkout. I think he had said 2 years ago. And he said, we never recovered from it. And I assumed he meant financially recovered from it. But as a salon owner, I think he also meant he never emotionally recovered from it. Because when you have a team of people, and say you have, 10, 15 people on your team, and you have 6 people who you probably, promoted and helped grow and give advice to and have hard conversations with and, teach them, take them under your wing and teach them. And you have 6 people who think it's okay to do that to you, you can't help but say, I can't do this anymore. I can't put myself in the position, right, emotionally or financially, to pour into people and have 6 people at one time and walk out with no word. I think that eventually, yeah, you do say, I'm done. If you love this industry and you're in it to help people and that happens to you, you're just like, you really have to sit with like, why am I doing this? And I give him so much credit for being able to say, you know what, I'm going to go work in another space and do what I love about this industry and focus on myself and be a part of someone else's team, because I can't put myself in the position to be treated like this any longer.
What is the worst advice you've heard in the beauty industry?
I remember when I first heard this, I had an educator from a brand that we were with previously, and she was in my salon teaching my staff, right? I have a commission salon, and we're having this amazing class with her. And then later on, I went on Instagram and I saw that she had posted something that every stylist goal should be to go independent. And I'm like, okay, first of all, like I just told 25 stylists to follow you on Instagram, and that's the message you're pushing, right? So I was like, you're not invited back. We can't have someone who's giving that type of advice to people just like freely, right? Second of all, that is the worst advice I've ever heard. And I've heard it a lot now from people who are in suites who are doing well, right? Or who think they're doing well. If they are doing well, amazing. It doesn't mean that everyone has your business mind and should go independent. That is a really, really scary thing to tell people, because not everyone wants to have to wear that business hat. Sometimes a hairstylist wants to be really creative and do really well at showing up at work and doing hair. And once you go independent, whether you work in someone else's salon, company, or suite, you now have to wear so many different hats. And you don't get to just be the creative all the time. So I think it's really important to show the numbers, right? To really go over the numbers, to sit with someone who can explain if going independent makes sense for you, and really like transparently going over the numbers. Okay, if you're commission and you're doing this amount of hair and this is what you're taking home, this is what your income will be. And if you go independent, here's all the costs that go into that. This is what taxes look like when you're self-employed. This is what inventory looks like. This is what your work-life balance looks like, and go over all of those things and really see if you're breaking even or making a profit and deciding from there if it's a good move, rather than just blindly saying independent stylists make more, because it's not true. It is absolutely not the case. And any honest independent stylist will say it is not the case. So the worst advice I have heard in this industry is that every stylist goal should be to go independent.
Yeah, making this decision if you want to go independent or you want to be a part of a salon comes down to self-awareness, understanding who you are and how you operate and what you want out of this world. When we're taking on a new client or working with somebody within the coaching world at Mastermynd Beauty, we talk about defining what success is for you, not for your friends, not for your parents, not because you want to be seen as like a business owner. Because I always say to people that want to be entrepreneurs, I'm like, hey, just so you know, it sucks. It's the worst thing ever. However, if it's for you, it can be also the best thing ever, because it's up to you to then build and up to you to do the marketing and do everything. Like, it's not like the first part about it is like, yes, putting your logo on your door and saying like, I have this cool space now. That's the uninformed optimism that everyone starts a business with. And what I've seen in my experience all over in different business categories as well, is people have that uninformed optimism that quickly turns into informed pessimism, because now they're like, oh no, I bit off more than I can chew. Like, could I actually stomach this? And can I do this? But those that are meant for it can get through that, because the next part is the valley of death. That's where most people, their businesses die, right? That third stage. That's when a lot of people make that decision. Okay, maybe I should go back to a commission, or maybe I should, do something else or what have you. And then other people will then push through that and then build a business on top of it. But it takes a special kind of person to do that. So if that's you, that's amazing. If it's not you, then that's amazing too. You could build whatever your version of success is. And that's what it comes down to at the end of the day. So really understand who you are and how you operate before you make any decisions. And I think you'll be happy in the future based on that.
You got to be careful who influences you, because you might see somebody on Instagram doing it and think that, they've got this beautiful branding, and you're like, I want to do that. I want to show up as my brand like that. I want the cute branding shoot and the cute logo on the door. And if you don't have a conversation with that person and you're just doing that based off of how they look on Instagram and how they look on social media, like, you should definitely reach out and get an honest answer from that person, how it's working for them. Because if they are a leader in the industry and they can help mentor you, they will really tell you like the realness that they deal with behind the scenes.
Oh, it's so important. And that goes for your whole life. Don't ever ask anybody for advice that doesn't have exactly what you want. So you do want to understand what it takes to build that. So yeah, whatever you're seeing out there that maybe attracts your eye, it's attracting your eye for a reason. Go get some more information and make a calculated decision based on that. I love that, Al. So what do you think about everyone saying, stop building someone else's dream, build your own?
If you're talking about the suites who are, the suite companies who are DMing stylists, they DM my team all the time. Stop building someone else's dream. Come build your own. Come have your own beautiful suite. If you don't work hard on your own dream, if you don't take risks, you'll end up working for someone else who did. All of those things that they like to feed commission stylists. First of all, I would just like to say that if you are renting a suite from someone, you are, in fact, building someone else's dream. You are, in fact, paying rent to somebody who owns a building and is profiting off of your business. Okay, so unless you are going to do hair out of a building that you own, or if you are going to do hair out of your house, you are, in fact, building someone else's dream. The only difference is when someone owns a suite company or a suite building and you're paying rent to them, they typically are just collecting your rent and not doing anything else for you. If they're a really good suite owner, they might be providing some education for you, like the amazing suites that have brought us in to do education for them. They are providing something to their renters to make it worth it for them. But most suite companies don't provide that, right? So you are building someone else's dream still. If you are a commission stylist in a commission salon and you think that you're building someone else's dream, I promise you 9 times out of 10, or I would say 90% of commission salon owners got into having a commission salon because they wanted to help other people be successful, not because they thought you were going to bring them all of this profit and they were going to be a millionaire off of you being a stylist in their business. When people say, this is Alison, I work for her, or this is my boss, Alison, I always say, I work for you. I can tell you, being a salon leader, I absolutely work for my team. And that's real. I am not the boss. I hate being called the boss. Yes, I may be the boss, right? But I show up for my team. Yes, I make the rules, right? Our leadership team makes the rules and enforces the rules. And yes, I can let people go if it's not working out, things like that bosses do. But for my team, I show up every single day. My phone is ringing all the time. So I take offense to people saying stop building someone else's dream, because I feel that I'm building other people's dreams. After 15 years of having salons, I promise you I'm helping other people build their dreams, whether they work in my salon or they've moved on to another business venture. Commission salon owners are building other people's dreams, period.
What do you feel is the biggest mistake new stylists are making?
The biggest mistake that new stylists are making, and I'm going off of speaking to beauty schools and the people that I interview, whether they ended up working in my company or not. I feel that the biggest mistake these new stylists are making is seeing the glamorized career on social media that stylists present and being in such a hurry to get to that, whether it's going independent or being an educator or, having a dream clientele, specializing in services, all of those things. They're in such a hurry to get to that point, and they're missing the journey, and they're missing the route that it took to get there. So you really have to be careful who influences you and who you're looking up to. It's okay to see these people on social media and say, I want that. But to think that you can get out of beauty school and get that right away is false. It takes a lot of work to build a clientele. It takes a lot of work to get to a point where going independent makes sense or being in a suite makes sense. And if that's your goal, that's amazing. You should absolutely chase after that. But the questions that I get from beauty school students every time I speak in a school, or the conversations that I have with people in their interviews, a lot of the time is like, well, I love doing this service, so I want to specialize in that. How do I do that? Or am I allowed to do that in your salon? And I will say no. As a leader in the industry, it would be absolutely misleading for me to tell a brand new stylist out of school that they can make those choices and be successful quickly, right? And that's the goal, to be as successful as possible, as quick as possible. And going independent too early or focusing on one technique too early, those are all, it's a great goal to get to that, but it is absolutely a huge mistake that new stylists are making.
Yeah, it's so true. It's like, especially younger people. Like when I was 20, I moved to LA as an actor. I said, give me 3 years and watch what I could do in Hollywood. And then 3 years passed and I was like in the club all the time. Like I didn't know what I was doing, but I wanted it quick. And the main reason is I think I wanted to show everybody that I was worth it, that I was right. Now I've been in the game 20 years and I just love the journey. And I do think it is important to identify what you want and to work like you need it tomorrow. But you also need the patience that you don't need it for 10 or 15 years. So that way you can enjoy the process along the way. Like you can't learn a lot of these lessons that you're going to learn in any business like that. Somebody can't just tell you, you're like, oh, I know that now. I'm just going to go and just navigate the world better. A lot of these lessons you have to learn by going through it, by going through the tough times, by putting in the work, and you also don't want to skip that. That's what is evolving you into the best version of yourself. So stop trying to chase things and get them right away. I think if I did find that success as soon as I moved to LA as an actor, I think I would have ruined it because I don't think I was ready for that amount of success. So slow down. I saw on the Celine Dion documentary, she said, take your time. It goes by faster. And it really does. When you're lost in the game, you're lost in the shuffle, you're lost in the journey, and really appreciating every single step, even the tough times. You get to a point where you look back and you go, damn, I built something. Stop, if you're so worried about making it so quick, you're going to have these different expectations like, oh, I didn't even make it yet. People are going to ask you, isn't it hard? Why are you still doing that? If it's taken so long, you got to cut all that out and focus on what you need, but have the patience to see it through. All right, let's go to the next question. What do you think about the charge your worth movement?
Okay, so absolutely charge your worth, right? We're seeing a lot of Instagram advice going around from people who I don't feel are really relaying the message about pricing and charging your worth properly. I think that it kind of it leaves a bad taste in my mouth. And I feel that it also leaves a bad taste in clients' mouths. If you have to say that you charge your worth, you probably are not providing the value. And what I mean by that is I'm all for charging your worth if it matches the value. I feel after 20 years in the industry that people will not complain about the price unless they didn't feel that you provided the value. So if you get people that are questioning if you were worth it, if they're saying, I paid $300 for this, so I feel that I should love it, or I don't feel that $50 treatment was worth the results that I got. Most of the time, they're not necessarily just talking about the results that came, how their hair looked after, right? They're talking about the value that they received in the salon. So I feel that the people who are having to say, charge your worth, they may not be providing the value. And also they need to shift that conversation to provide the value so that you can charge what you're worth. And that's how you don't get complaints about price. That's how I feel about charging your worth.
All right. Makes a lot of sense. All right. Next question. What would you say to a stylist who wants to go to independent, but doesn't know what that conversation should look like?
All right. So if you want to go independent, right? If it's been weighing on your mind that you want to go independent, you know that this would be a good move for you. You've weighed out the pros and cons and you really want to go independent. If you're in a commissioned salon, I would say, first of all, have the conversation with the owners and say, if booth renting is something that has been on your mind, I would say, ask them if booth renting is possible. And I just had this conversation with someone on our podcast a couple of episodes ago. And she said that she had this conversation with her salon owner and they said, no, we don't do booth rental here. We're not going to let you booth rent. And so she said, okay, it's something that I've been thinking about. And so now they're aware, right? They didn't kick her out. They didn't say leave. They had that conversation with her and they said, we don't want to do booth rent with you. So she ended up leaving and going independent. She booth rented somewhere else. And then things changed for the previous salon. And they said, would you want to come back? We're offering booth rent now. And she said, yeah, I miss it there. I want to come back. So pros of having that conversation is that she didn't get kicked out. She got to go get her feet wet, somewhere else and see what booth renting was like. She liked it. And then the salon that she really loved the environment in, but didn't offer that possibility before, now has that opportunity available for her. So she went back and she booth rented there. That is a beautiful thing, right? So the conversation should start there. You need to be open and honest with the owners and respectful and say, this is what I'm thinking about doing. Is this possible? Now, if you don't want to booth rent, you want to move into your own space, that conversation still needs to be had. And I know a lot of stylists feel that when they have that conversation, the owner will say, get out, leave today. And that happened to me when I left my salon previously, the salon that I started my career out with. I let her know that I was going to be opening a salon with my family. And she said, today's your last day. You will not be working here any longer. And that is a common thing as a salon owner. That is a common thing that they will say, today's your last day. However, I think because the industry has evolved so much that most salon owners are willing to have this conversation. And if they're not, they should, so that we can have less animosity in this industry and less hate and less, just tension altogether. So you need to openly let them know that going independent has been on your mind and that this is something that you want to work towards. If it's something you're going to be doing in 2 weeks, you've already, put things in play, you've already signed a lease, things like that. You need to sit them down, and this is personal for me, obviously, because I've been through it. You need to sit them down and respectfully say, thank you so much for everything you've done for me. This is what I'm going to do now, and I appreciate you. And, I wish you all the best. I'm moving on to this new opportunity. I have very rarely seen people who I'm, friends with on social media and friends of mine that own salons. I've seen stylists leave them on good terms. We see it, right? Everything's on social media. And I've seen people leave and do a really nice post to their previous owner and say, this owner, she did so much for me, and I really appreciate the path that she gave me and the chance that she gave me. And, I dedicate a lot of my success to her for helping me through those things, and I'm going to go do this now. And as someone on the outside looking in, first of all, that stylist has so much integrity and class that they left on good terms. You also know when they didn't. And it just opens up the door for so much negativity because you have so many clients, right, that came to you while you were at the salon and now you've left on bad terms. There's been this post that went up, right, that you're like, I'm no longer at that salon. I'm doing this now. And then you get all the DMs that are like, oh, what happened? And then the salon owner is getting the screenshot sent to her. Like, what is this? Oh my God. Are you okay? Did this happen? How did they do it? It feels so toxic to get those messages and have to have those conversations over and over and over again. And I would hope for the stylist that's leaving as well, they wouldn't want to keep reliving that and having the same conversation over and over again. And that can all be avoided by just respectfully having that conversation, respectfully going your separate ways and, making a post that is positive and wishing everyone the best. And then everyone can just be happy for you, right? So I just think having that open and honest conversation and not dragging it out for months and making it this quiet, like I said, quiet quitting can be so big where you just kind of throw in the towel, you show up to work because the end's coming anyway, and going through the software, getting all your clients and making it this big secret. It creates so much toxicity in our industry as a whole. And so, yeah, having those hard conversations are just very, very, very important. And I really hope this encourages people to start having them.
Okay, next question. What do you think about some salons and med spas not wanting their teams to have individual pages on social media?
So I worked with a med spa for a couple of years who did not want her team to have individual pages on social media. And I also see this a lot in the Facebook salon owner groups where people will say, I don't want my team to have their own social media pages because I'm afraid that they're going to take clients when they leave. So what I would say to that is, first of all, that is an insane way to think. If you have, say, 5 people on your team, right? And all of those people are representing your salon while they work for you, and they are spreading the word about your business, doing collaborative posts and gaining that attention, right, for your company, whether it's a salon or a spa or, anything in the beauty industry. If you've got people talking about your business, there is power in numbers. So if you just have one business page for your salon, a lot of times that doesn't really make people feel a huge connection with your business because it's a business, right? You're just showing up, showing the business. There's usually not a personality behind that unless your team does show up on social media a lot and is contributing content to the salon page. So a lot of times the salon business page will grow slower than the individual team's pages because they have a personality and they're showing their face a little bit more. So what I would say to that is your team should absolutely have their own individual pages where they are promoting your company and promoting the team as a whole. And when they do decide to leave, yes, people will follow them to wherever they go because they follow them on social media. They enjoyed the services they got from that person and they may follow them. But the problem that you have with some clients following those people is going to be less than if they didn't have a page at all, right? So you have to kind of decide, what do you want my problem to be? Having a lower reach and not reaching as many people, or having a larger reach and losing a little bit of clients every time a service provider leaves my company.
Yeah, and digital is just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and social media is already like a prominent part of success within the marketing world. And so getting on that train and maximize that, having strength in numbers is going to evolve your company even bigger. So if you're missing out on that opportunity just because you're afraid of something that might happen later on down the road, I think you're leaving a lot of money and a lot of opportunity on the table. Okay, and final question. What are your business goals for 2025?
So as a salon owner, my goals have shifted slightly. So the type of team that I'm looking for is slightly different than the team that I kind of was after before. So I know exactly what I'm looking for in service providers, whether they're hairstylists or estheticians. So I'm really, really excited about where my salon companies are going right now. And my goals as a beauty business coach are to reach as many salon owners, hairstylists, estheticians, and lash artists as possible and just really, really elevate this industry. I want to make a positive impact. Like you've heard in this whole podcast, like we are just so sick of the negativity in this industry. So my goal as a beauty business coach, whether I'm working with the owners or the independent stylists, is really to get everybody to just be more supportive of each other. So my goal is to really spread that message and just show up in a positive way and elevate this industry to a place it's never been before in terms of education and community and events and things like that. So I'm really, really excited just to see where 2025 takes us. And we've made such an impact already in 2024. So I'm really, really excited about that.
Absolutely. And even with this podcast, having some amazing guests on and having more episodes like this to really touch on the things that we're seeing in the business to amplify your growth, to make you more money, to live a more positive and be focused on your mindset as you continue to grow, just to live your best lives. So if there's anything that you want us to cover on this podcast, please put that in the comments below. Also, make sure you're subscribed here on YouTube. And if you're listening or watching on Spotify or listening on Apple, make sure you rate our podcast. We really appreciate it. Alison, where can they find you?
So you can find us on Instagram at Mastermynd Beauty and at Alison Bellavie.
And I am at Mark Rodriguez TV everywhere. So follow us and we'll see you next time. Peace.